You there with a stick. Poke the witch. Poke the witch.
Poke the witch.
Yeah.
Poke the witch.
Do it. 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 Oh, come on.
Poke the witch.
Poke the witch!
Poke the witch. Poke the witch. Poke the witch.
Poke the witch!
Oh my God! I don't think it moved. She's dead.
She's dead.
She's dead. She's dead.
What is it? Ah! I knew I shouldn't have let them talk me into a police exchange with the Emerald City. How may we be of service, ma'am?
Yes, I'd like to report a theft.
A theft. All right, well, have a seat. And, Sergeant, if you'll come over here a minute.
Oh, no water.
Coffee? It's Maxwell House.
No, thank you.
So, Miss
West.
West. What was stolen exactly?
Slippers, silver slippers specifically.
And when were they taken from you?
They weren't stolen from me. They were stolen from the Wicked Witch of the East.
Your sister?
You people! Just because we're witches doesn't mean we're sisters or that we even know each other.
Do you know her?
Of course we know each other. We're witches.
Well, if the slippers...
Silver slipper.
Silver slippers. If the silver slippers were stolen from her, why didn't she come in to report it?
Because she's dead. She was murdered by the witch Dorothy, who dropped a house on her.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that, but it wasn't a murder, just a fortunate accident. I mean, unfortunate. It was an unfortunate accident.
It was no accident. It was powerful magic. This Dorothy may seem sweet and innocent, but she's extremely powerful, and has just become more powerful after stealing the slippers from the Wicked Witch of the East, dried, dead corpse. She says she's here in the Emerald City under the pretense of trying to get home to Kansas, which is where she claims she was when a cyclone picked up her house and fortunately dropped it on the Wicked Witch of the East.
Unfortunately.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately dropped it on the Wicked Witch of the East.
Actually, I believe you mean it was a tornado. See, a cyclone's a storm over ocean water that can last for days. A tornado's a windstorm over land that can last for a matter of minutes.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Anyways, she conjured one up to kill the Wicked Witch of the East, and now she's starting to form a gang.
A gang?
Yes, a typical brainiac in charge, a hatchet man, some muscle, and of course, a familiar.
You mean the little dog? I thought familiars were cats.
Common misconception, Sergeant. A familiar is an animal guide and can be any animal. They're mostly portrayed as cats are perceived as cunning and ruthless, witches are almost always in the presence of a familiar.
Not me.
Interesting. And why is that?
Allergies.
Oh, that's interesting after all.
What do you suppose is her reason for gathering a gang?
Oh, that's simple. She intends for me to be her next victim. After she killed the Wicked Witch of the East, she gained control of the East. And when she kills me, she gains control of the West and the Winky County, and the North and South will fall at her feet like dominoes.
Well, we may want to get some of these gang members in to gather some more information. Miss West, be sure that we will pay extra attention to this case.
Thank you, Inspector.
Sergeant, please show Miss West out.
Well, what do you think, Inspector? Is there anything there, or is she just paranoid?
I'm afraid there may be something to her fears. I mean, part of me thinks this may be nothing, but there's some suspicious behavior that doesn't make sense. There's part of this Witch Dorothy case that doesn't add up.
What is that, Inspector?
Why would anyone want to go back to Kansas?
Good morning, Inspector.
Good morning, Sergeant. What do you have there?
It was the strangest thing. I was on my way here, walking through the woods, and I saw some walnut trees with these beautiful walnuts. And I said to myself, what beautiful walnuts. I must have said it loud enough for the trees to hear me, because next thing I know, they started throwing them at me.
I'm sorry, you must be mistaken. They must have been falling from the trees.
Oh no, Inspector. The trees were throwing them. Winding up and throwing them. It stung at first, but then I realized I could use my hat to catch them. This is an odd place, Inspector. Still, I haven't had walnuts in a long time. I'm kind of excited. I need to find a nutcracker.
Well, you're right about this being an odd place, Sergeant. Do you realize we've been here for 2 weeks and have yet to meet the Chief Inspector? Anyway, don't make a mess with those walnuts. I don't know why, but I get the feeling we're being watched.
Who would want to watch us?
I don't know. Like I said, it's just a feeling, but even so, we should both be on our most professional behavior.
You got it, Inspector. Ah, here it is.
Here's the line you've been looking for, Inspector.
Mr. Coward Lee Lyon. Excellent. Have a seat. Thank you, officer.
Cowardly Lion? How'd you get that name?
No, typical story. I was the runt of my litter, and so my parents thought that by giving me the name Coward, I'd have to stand up for myself.
Oh, no, not Coward. Your middle name, Lee. Is it a family name? I've got some Lees in my family. Maybe we're related.
Sergeant, the man is a lion. How could you possibly be related?
Well, I didn't say closely related.
You'll have to excuse the sergeant. He's adjusting to life here in the Emerald City. Have a seat. We have just a few questions for you.
You had your officers drag me in here for a few questions? I am a very busy person, and I do not appreciate this disruption. So what is this all about?
All right, we'll get straight to it then. We know you're working for a witch named Dorothy, who's under suspicion for murder and theft.
Dorothy, a witch and a murderer. Dorothy's just a sweet-hearted little girl who just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Although a lot of people would say that she was at the right place at the right time. Killing the Wicked Witch of the East was an accident. Dorothy's house fell out of the sky and just happened to land on the witch. Probably while she was in the midst of terrorizing munchkins.
And you were there? You saw this accident?
Well, no, not exactly, but that's what Dorothy told me, and I've got no reason to doubt her.
All right, then. Who were these witnesses? Surely houses don't just fall out of the sky. I mean, it must be a rare occurrence, even here in Oz. Certainly someone must have seen it.
Oh, no. You are not going to get me to tell on my friends. If you wanted a rat, you came to the wrong cats. Maybe you haven't heard that I'm the king of the jungle. Just try and get me to talk. Do your best. I'll never tell you anything. I won't crack. No, please, don't torture me. I'll talk. What do you want to know?
The names of the gang members. The people who were there when the accident, as you say, occurred.
The Scarecrow. And the Tin Man, him too. They were both there when I joined the gang. And I suppose Toto too.
Toto.
Her dog.
Ah, the familiar.
Familiar?
Yes. You know, the demon companion of a witch.
Aren't familiars cats?
Common misconception. Familiars can be any kind of animal, but are most commonly cats.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Suppose you learn something new every day.
All right, Mr. Lion. I think we finished up here. We're going to need to talk to the other gang members, and we also may need to talk to you again later. In the meantime, we'll have some officers escort you home.
Well, if it's all the same to you, Inspector, I think I'll walk.
All right, that's fine. Have a nice day.
Yeah, bye.
You should really try some of these walnuts, Inspector. They're quite good.
This is such a strange place, Sergeant. You're right, though. These walnuts are very good. We better put a mask on. That's a scarecrow, and this is hay fever season.
You know, if you're trying to play the whole good cop, bad cop thing, you gotta know that we do it a little bit differently here in Oz.
What do you mean?
Well, for starters, someone usually plays an ogre or a beast.
I can assure you, we're not playing any of those games. For starters, we don't have an ogre to play bad cop.
Oh no, the ogre's usually the good cop.
Okay. We just have a few questions for you about your association with the witch Dorothy.
Which Dorothy?
The witch Dorothy.
Which witch Dorothy?
Do you know more than one witch Dorothy?
I don't know any witch Dorothy.
Well, then why did you say witch Dorothy?
Because she said witch Dorothy.
Okay, this isn't getting us anywhere. We know that you're associated with the Dorothy that dropped a house on the Wicked Witch of the East.
Dorothy from Kansas?
That's right, Dorothy from Kansas. We understand you're part of her gang.
I'd hardly call it a gang. It's just a few of us wandering. We're gonna go see the wizard to see if he can get her back home.
Or perhaps she abandoned it because it was the murder weapon?
Murder weapon? There was no murder. It was an accident. How could you possibly murder someone with a house? What would you call it? Homicide?
But you have to admit, she did steal the silver slippers.
I don't have to admit anything. As a matter of fact, you have no reason to even question me. Nothing I say can be used as evidence.
And why is that?
Because I have no brain. I'm made of straw. I'm as dumb as they come.
Nice try, Scarecrow. I've read your file. You have degrees in math and engineering, and a doctorate in strategic planning.
Wow, a doctorate in strategic planning? Where'd you get that?
Where else? Cornell.
Okay, Inspector, maybe I have been playing dumb, but you're still not getting anything out of me.
Well, maybe since this is Oz, we'll just have to do things a little differently. How'd you feel about talking after a few days of nothing but bread and water?
I'm a scarecrow. I don't eat.
Oh, yeah. Well, what if we kept loud music and bright lights on in yourself so you couldn't get any shut-eye?
Again, Scarecrow, I don't have any eyes.
Okay. What if we take away your mattress so you have to sleep on hard bedboards?
Oh no! No mattress? Look at me, Sergeant. I am a mattress.
Okay. Enough, Sergeant. Just Lady as we're not going to resort to torture. Mr. Scarecrow, you're free to go. If you have any more information, you know where to find us.
I thought you might be interested in this, Inspector.
You're correct. I'm very interested. Thank you. Sergeant, it would appear that the guardian of the Emerald Gate has been arrested and is down in the cells. What do you say we go have a conversation with him?
Sounds like fun. Haven't been down to the cells yet.
Me neither. Who knows what we'll find down there. You must be the guardian of the Emerald Gate. I'm Detective Inspector Snow, and this is Detective Sergeant Merriman. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Fire away, Inspector. I seem to have some time on my hands. They arrested me for taking an emerald off my own gate. I just saw it was loose and put it in my pocket for safekeeping. Why would I steal from my gate? I'm the guardian.
Well, if that's the case, I'm sure you'll be out of here in no time.
You're right about that. They can't leave me here long.
And why do you say that?
See this? It's the key to the Emerald Gate. Also opens everything in Emerald City. So, as I said, they won't leave me here long.
I see. Well, we won't take up too much of your time. We just wanted to know if you've heard anything about a witch Dorothy.
A witch Dorothy? You don't mean that adorable little girl in that awful gingham dress. She came to my gate, and I don't believe she was a witch. Although, looking back, it would make sense.
Why do you think it makes sense that she was a witch?
She had a meeting with the wizard, which is the first one I've seen as long as I can remember. And when she left the wizard, she said she was going to the castle for the Wicked Witch of the West, which would be pretty foolish for someone who herself wasn't a witch.
Interesting.
So what are these guys in for?
Don't you know? Aren't you a cop?
Yeah, but we deal with major crimes, not petty crimes.
Well, this guy is some union boss in Munchkin Land. Well, he has light fingers. He knocked over a candy store in Oz.
What about him? Hey, wait a second, I recognize him. We've been looking for him everywhere.
This will take them right by the Oman results. Come on, Sergeant, let's go.
Inspector, it was the candy guy. He took my key out of my pocket. I swear it wasn't my fault. What is that smell?
Source of the odor is down there. Well, put your masks on.
Well, that's quite the mess down there.
Sure is. What do you suppose they are? Looks like some sort of animal, but is it a tiger or a bear?
Both, actually. It's called a Kalita.
Both.
It's got the head of a tiger and body of a bear. Quite vicious with long, sharp claws and will tear your shreds in seconds.
Are they clumsy beasts? Could they have fallen and ended up down there?
No, they're quite nimble-footed, actually. Someone must have put them down there. Strange, though, there's not very many right enough or strong enough to take them on.
Look over there, Sarge. On the other side of the ravine, there's a freshly cut stump of a tree. Someone must have cut it down and used it to cross the gap.
Do you suppose they did it and fell off?
I'd say it's a good possibility they fell off, but I don't think they cut it down. As sharp as their claws are, they wouldn't be able to cut through a big tree trunk like that, and they wouldn't have had an axe with them. No, I think this was the work of a skilled woodcutter. And look over here. Freshly cut wood chips. That same woodcutter cut the tree trunk here in order to send it into the ravine, carrying the 2 Kalitas with it.
So he murdered them.
I'm sure they considered it more of a case of self-preservation.
They?
Yes. I have a feeling this is our gang of witch killers, and I think this was the work of that Tin Woodman the lion mentioned.
Oh, the hatchet man.
Yes. He has the skills and the tools to have done this. We're going to need to talk to him.
I'll send some officers to pick him up.
Good. Now, let's get back to the office. I don't know why, but I feel as if we're being watched.
I know what you mean, Inspector. But certainly if somebody was watching us out here, we'd be able to see them.
You're probably right. But still, I can't shake this feeling. Come on, let's go.
Ah, Merriman. Have they brought the Tin Woodman in?
Not yet, ma'am. They had a tail on him, but the trail led through a field of poppies and the officers fell asleep. They're back on the trail, but they lost some time.
All right, then. Keep them on it. I was just reading the Tin Woodman's file. Do you know why he's made of tin?
I don't know, maybe because titanium's too expensive?
Normally a safe assumption. But remember, we're in Oz. And in Oz, I don't think there are any safe assumptions. Or even any titanium. No, he was once just a flesh and bone woodman.
Okay, so why is he now a tin woodman?
It would seem he once fell in love with a beautiful Munchkin maiden. They were going to be married. However, the old woman that she lived with wasn't happy about it. She was so upset, in fact, that she went to procure the services of the Wicked Witch of the East.
The dead one? The one that Dorothy killed?
Yes, that very one. Well, the old woman went to ask the witch if she could put a spell on the woodman, something to keep him from marrying her daughter.
That old woman must have really hated the woodman.
No, it wasn't like that. She was just lazy and couldn't bear losing the maiden who did all her cooking and cleaning. She'd become very dependent on her. Well, the witch gave the old woman a potion. The old woman put the potion on the woodman's axe when he wasn't looking. The next time the woodman used his axe, the potion took charge and cut off one of his legs.
Ouch. That would ruin your day.
But that didn't keep him from wanting to marry the maiden, though. He simply hopped over to a tinsmith and had him make a tin leg, then went back to work. However, the axe was still under the witch's spell, and it slipped and cut off his other leg.
Let me guess. Back to the tinsmith?
That's right. And the axe, still being under the spell of the potion, cut off his arm.
Back to the tinsmith.
And then the other arm.
Are we sure the tinsmith wasn't in on this? That potion sure was good for his business.
You're not kidding, because then it went on to cut his head in half, and likewise his torso. Each time, he went back to the tinsmith and had a part made of tin, until he was completely made of tin. At that point, he figured it would be unfair to marry the maiden, as he no longer had a heart and couldn't love her anymore.
But that doesn't make any sense. Love doesn't have anything to do with having a heart.
Here in Oz, life is more influenced by magic and poetry instead of science. Poets tell us that the heart is the center of love. But just look at the woodman's decision to call off the marriage out of concern for the feelings of the maiden. He still loves her, despite not having a heart, and we need to assume that his actions were motivated by that lost love.
Speaking of motivation, wouldn't this give him motive for the murder of the Wicked Witch of the East? Although, I guess he would have killed her with the axe and not by dropping a house on her.
The axe was under the witch's spell. He would never have been able to use it against her. That's why we need to consider the idea that he may have been an accomplice to the Witch of Dorothy. Perhaps that explains his service to her. She drops a house on his nemesis, and he helps her with her next endeavor. Either way, whether he was involved with her in the beginning, he certainly is now. We need to question him. Yes? Oh, great. What does she want now? Yeah, send her in.
Inspector, I found this sticking in my garden, and I thought I would bring it in for you to question.
You want us to question a basket?
No. This. Toto, the witch Dorothy's familiar. Which is why I'm wearing a mask, because of the allergies I had mentioned earlier.
Ah, allergies.
So you want us to question a dog? We might be better off questioning the basket.
I don't know. Even in Oz, baskets don't talk.
You talk?
Of course I talk. In Oz, lions talk, scarecrow talk, even Tin Woodman talk. Why should dogs talk?
Did you talk in Kansas?
I did, but nobody understood me.
Okay, well, maybe you can clear some things up for us. Miss West, you can go. We'll make sure Toto stays out of your garden. So, Toto, you've known Dorothy for some time now?
21 dog years.
Good, good. And in all those years, have you witnessed her take part in any acts of witchcraft?
Dorothy, witchcraft? You've got to be kidding me. I saw her attempt a card trick once, and she couldn't even get that right.
But flying her house here, that must have taken some pretty powerful magic.
Magic? Are you kidding me? That was a storm. Dorothy can no more whip up a storm than I could whip up a beef Wellington.
It is a little curious that you two happened to be riding in a house, storm or not, that dropped on a witch, and Dorothy got some silver slippers.
Hey, we weren't even supposed to be in that house to begin with. When the storm picked up, we tried to get into the root cellar, but the door was jammed. I told Uncle Henry that the latch needed to be fixed, but since we were in Kansas, I guess all here was yip, 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 yip. You know, Dorothy really wants to get back to Kansas, but I can get used to it here. It's pretty nice to be able to express yourself without having to pee on someone's shoes.
Yes, that is one of the many charms of Oz.
Inspector, they've located the Tin Woodman.
Good news. Bring him in for questioning.
Well, it's not quite that easy, ma'am. He's not very mobile right now. It seems he and the Scarecrow were involved in a physical altercation with some flying monkeys? Must be a motorcycle gang.
Is he going to be okay?
I think so. They're working on him now.
Well, then I guess we better go see him. Toto, you're free to go, but you should probably stay out of the witch's garden. So how is he, Doctor?
Mechanic.
What?
You said doctor. I'm not a doctor. He's more machine than he is man, so they called for mechanic. The name's Stu.
Okay, Stu the mechanic. How is he?
Oh, yeah, he'll be fine. A few dents and a couple scratches and holes, but nothing serious. A little pounding, polishing, plugging, and a little duct tape, and he'll be good as new.
All right. Hello, I'm Inspector Snow. Can you talk?
Yes, in fact, my jaw's the only thing they didn't break. It's purely ornamental.
All right. So this was done by flying monkeys?
Yes, flying monkeys.
I've heard of flying squirrels and flying fish, but never of flying monkeys. Are you sure they weren't swinging monkeys?
Oh no, these were legitimate flying monkeys, wings and all. The Wicked Witch of the West sent them to get Dorothy. We tried to fight them off, but they took me about 200 feet up and dropped me on this rock here. And, well, they took the Scarecrow and plucked out all his stuffing and threw his head and clothes in that big tree. And they took the lion and they flew him off with them.
If Dorothy is a witch, then why didn't she cast a spell on the flying monkeys? Why didn't she just turn them into flying fish or something?
She couldn't do that because she can't. See, Dorothy's not a witch, and if she was, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
So, if the witch didn't kill Dorothy by dropping her on a pile of rocks,
or pull the stuffing out of her,
then we need to assume that she needed her alive, in which case she would have had the flying monkeys take her back to the witch's castle.
But why'd they take the lion?
Well, they probably didn't want him here where you could get the Woodman and Scarecrow back into working order. That's why it's up to us to do that. Officers, go gather the Scarecrow's stuffing and get a ladder and get his clothes and head down from that tree. I'll see what I can do to help Stu get the Woodman functioning again.
What is that you're cooking? It smells awful.
I'll have you know, this soup won first place in last year's Eon Todd Festival.
What is an Eon Todd Festival?
What is Eon Todd? Eon Todd stands for Eye of Newt and Tongue of Dog, the two main ingredients in this delicious stew. Why, the Eon Todd Festival is only the most prestigious among culinary witches in Oz. What witch doesn't know that?
I've told you, I'm not a witch. And it's hard to believe that anything that smells that bad could even win a witch's culinary festival.
This stew smells delicious. In fact, it smells so delicious, I'm gonna put a mask on just to keep myself from eating it before it's ready. Why, if you're a good little girl and hand me those shoes, I'll let you have some stew.
No, the good witch gave me these slippers. She said that there's some kind of charm on them, and it must be a good one if you want them so badly.
Fine, you'll just keep washing pots and pans until you decide to hand them over.
What? You think washing some pots and pans is some sort of torture? Back in Kansas, washing dishes was considered a vacation. If you saw what Aunt Tia made me do, you would say she was the real witch. Slopping hogs, fixing fences, fixing hogs.
I have to think of some way of getting those slippers away from her. Oh, I know. Why don't I go pay your friend the lion a visit? Once you hear his cries of pains, I'm sure you'll be willing to hand over those slippers.
Go ahead, give it your best. I think you underestimate Cowardly Lion. How'd it go? I heard a shriek, but it didn't sound like the lion.
I'm not done with you yet. I have plenty more pots where those came from.
Keep them coming.
Stop right there! Inspector, you came just in time. This little witch was about to assault me with that pot of water.
Oh, please, it's just an old pot of water. Oh, the big bad witch is afraid of a little water. Besides, she tried to steal my silver slipper.
You mean this slipper right here?
No! Didn't you know water would melt me? And I was so close to getting those magic slippers. I told you, I didn't want any water.
It was an accident. I didn't mean to melt her.
I know it was an accident, Sergeant. Who would have thought that water would melt a witch? I mean, did you see that? Or as if she were made of brown sugar. I was continuously surprised.
Did she say these were magic slippers? That must be why the good witch gave them to me.
Good witch? You mean to say there are more witches?
Yes, the witch of the north, but she's not like this one. She's a good witch.
If I were her, I'd stay away from you. Witches don't last long around you.
Now, Sergeant, this was an accident, and I see no reason to suspect that the death of the Witch of the East was also an accident. Little girl, what are you looking for?
A souvenir to take back to Kansas.
What, like a keychain with a picture of Oz on it?
Well, I was thinking a little bit bigger. I got these great slippers in Munchkin Country. Oh, looky here.
What in the world is that?
I don't know, but isn't it pretty? I wonder if it fits.
Your wish is our command, mistress.
Hey, aren't you the ones that beat up my friends and brought me here? And Toto too?
Yes, that was us. But you see, we had no choice. Due to an old curse, we're obligated to fulfill 3 wishes to whoever possesses the golden cap. So we were forced to do what the Witch of the West commanded. Now we're under your command.
So what kind of things can I ask you to do?
We can do many things for you, although we specialize in travel. Just ask where you would like to go, and we will take you.
Oh boy, this is great. Will you take us anywhere we want to go?
Anywhere you want to go. Just ask, and we will take you.
Well, good luck. All this time I've been trying to figure out a way to get back to Kansas. Like an answer to prayer, here you are. Take us to Kansas.
I'm sorry, where?
Kansas, that's where we're from. I've been so homesick and can't wait to get back to Aunt Em and Uncle Henry.
Sorry, pick some other place.
What?
Someplace other than Kansas. I've been to Kansas and I'm not going back. This curse is bad enough without needing to make trips to Kansas. I'll tell you what. I have this thing coming up. You have a little think about where you'd like to go that isn't Kansas, and let me know.
Well, how do you like that? How will I ever get to Kansas?
I thought you were going to Oz to ask the wizard if he could get you back to Kansas.
Yeah, well, turns out the old wizard is a fraud. Some con man from Omaha.
That fraud promised me a brain.
And me a heart.
And don't forget courage for me.
But you don't need a wizard's help with any of those things. Scarecrow, your head may be full of straw, but you're as smart and witty as any man I've met.
I can second that.
Tin Woodman, you're mistaking a heart, which is just an organ, for love, the chief of all emotions. You may not have a heart, but you have an abundance of love. The fact that you walked away from the maiden because you were worried you couldn't provide the love that she deserved is an example of the kind of selfless act that only love can make. And look at the way you've cared for Dorothy and her friends. You, sir, are the personification of love.
Oh, you're embarrassing me.
And Lion. Your actions in helping Dorothy exhibit courage befitting the greatest of warriors. You think that being brave is about not being afraid, but even the most courageous of beings would be afraid when face to face with a Kalita or wicked witch. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is how you act despite your fear.
Oh, well, when you put it that way, I suppose the three of us don't really need the wizard's help. What about Dorothy? Wise as your words may be, I don't think they'll help her get back to Kansas.
That's true. But I think I might know someone who will be able to help. You mentioned the Witch of the North, the Good Witch. Do you suppose she'll be able to help you?
Well, I'm not sure. It was her idea to go get help from the wizard, so I don't think she'll be much of help. But she did say that the Witch of the South might be able to help if I needed it.
Witch of the South? I don't think we should get involved with any more witches.
She's another good witch. According to the Witch of the North, all wicked witches are dead now.
Do you know how to get in touch with this Witch of the South?
Let's see. Wait a minute, the Witch of the North gave me her card. Here it is. I'll just give her a call. Hey, Glinda!
Here I am, Glinda, at your service.
Oh, Glinda, I was hoping that you could take me and Toto back to Kansas. The wizard was supposed to help, but, well, you know.
Yes, he had us all fooled. Well, I can get you back to Kansas, but before I do that, are you sure I can't convince you to stay? After all, this castle's now vacant. You could rule here as the Good Witch of the West.
But I'm not a good witch, or any kind of witch at all.
Look, you dropped a house on the Wicked Witch of the East, and you melted the Wicked Witch of the West. Witch or not, it'll be easy to get people to believe that you are a witch.
But the cyclone...
Tornado. Cyclones are tropical storms that occur over water. Tornadoes occur over dry land.
The tornado dropped the house on the Wicked Witch of the East, and Sergeant Merriman melted the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh, pish-posh, you're there for both of them, so it's easily spun.
Well, thank you, but I better get back to Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. The dishes must be up to the ceiling by now.
Okay, if you're sure. Now, you've had the power to get back to Kansas this whole time. It's been right at your fingertips, or more specifically, your toe tips.
What? You mean the silver slippers?
That's right. The magic of the silver slippers will get you back to Kansas.
Why didn't the Witch of the North tell me?
She didn't know they had power in them. Only I had that knowledge. Even the Wicked Witch of the East didn't know. She only knew they had magic in them.
So what do I do to get them to take me to Kansas?
In order to get the slippers to take you where you want to go, say the location 3 times, each time clicking the heels of the slippers together. But be specific when you name the location, otherwise you can end up hundreds of miles from where you want to be.
Oh, this is so exciting. But I'm going to miss you terribly.
I'm gonna miss you too.
I'm probably gonna cry for a week.
Do you have to go? We could help you rule Winky Country. We would be the kindest rulers they ever had.
Oh, it's tempting, but Aunt Em and Uncle Henry must be miserable without me. Okay, here goes. Take me to Aunt Em's farm. Take me to Aunt Em's farm. Take me to... You know, I don't think I want to go back to Kansas. This isn't a bad castle. Some new curtains and some throw pillows, and it could be quite cozy. Uncle Henry can wash those old dishes.
Inspector, I'm Chief Inspector Baum, and I've been watching you, and I must say, I'm impressed with how you and Merriman have been handling yourselves.
Chief Inspector, it's an honor to finally meet you, but I'm afraid that this case turned out to be no case at all. No crime was committed, and we didn't really solve anything.
Inspector, cases here work a little differently in Oz. It's more about rolling with the punches than it is about putting criminals in prison. I really like how you adapted to yourself.
And besides, Inspector, you helped make Dorothy very happy.
I guess you're right. She does look pretty happy. Toto, too.